I wanted to sing Hello Darkness, My Old Friend at this, but it's not really darkness. I had a good time using this notebook. Hi everybody, it is time for me to do a flip through of this bullet journal. I have basically finished it, although there's still some empty pages in the back because I wound up not using it as much as I thought I was going to in the month of July. But the month of July was big moving month for us, so I was kind of expecting that. But it's basically done, and I am moving to a new notebook. That video is already up. I will leave it linked up above if you haven't seen it yet. This is a Baron Fig Confidant plus size. It is basically about a, no, what, B5? Question mark? I'm not really sure about all of the paper sizes, but I'm pretty sure it's B5. It's bigger than an A5. It's a pretty girthy sucker. First time using this bigger size, and I'll tell you, I don't think I'm gonna go back, even if my next notebook is Scribbles That Matter and not Baron Fig. I have no qualms about this size, and also I love the Baron Fig notebook. There's only one real drawback to it that I was noticing, and that is in the latter half of the book, or the latter bit of the book where the pages are perforated. It was really hard to use a page and turn it without it starting to tear out. So there is that. But other than that, I've loved this notebook. I love the paper, I love everything else, but I want to try a Scribbles That Matter since they brought back the paper that I love so much about their notebooks. Before I jump into this flip through, I do want to comment that this year started very differently than it is going now. We found out at the end of January that my husband would have to relocate to Denver from Napa, California for his job, which I'm in my house right now, my new house, because my office isn't set up yet. And so when I flip through it, I will be discussing some of the things that I thought I was going to use when I put them in, and they did not wind up working out quite the same way. So there's gonna be some of that. I did just want to bring up though that this year I started this year in a particular kind of headspace with some particular kind of goals, and then a month into the year, everything radically shifted, and you can kind of see that shift in my bullet journal. I've talked about it enough. Let's jump right into the bullet journal flip through for my 2021 first half-ish of the year Baron Fig notebook. So here is my Baron Fig Confidant. This is the cover. You can see it's already got some like marks on it, oh hi mark, but I'm excited about that. I think it's beautiful, and I will be taking it off at some point to try on my new Scribbles That Matter bullet journal. I just haven't quite, Loki, really? Seriously. I just haven't gotten around to taking it off yet. So for now, I'm gonna leave it on. Open this puppy up. I tend to shove all sorts of shit into my bullet journal. I bought that already, but it's still there. It's just my way of life. I just shove stickers and old color schemes and everything else. My bullet journal is basically like my wallet. It just starts filling up with random crap. And here's my little cover. January through, we'll say July. I should write that on here. Do I have a Sharpie though? I might have a Sharpie. I do have a Sharpie. Loki is now up on the counter. He might show up. And there's a kitty. This is an old janky Sharpie. January through July. Cover page. This was the most involved setup I've ever done, and I don't know how involved I will be on future bullet journal setups, but this was fun to do. I have reused this grid spacing, so I did already repeat this in my new bullet journal spread, but I didn't repeat this because I didn't pack my stamp in the bag, and I didn't really use this, but I do like the way it looks. Here is my 21 and 2021. If you watched my bullet journal setup, you'll see how I slightly changed this around, but it basically stopped getting filled in around April because I was just so busy with everything else that was going on. Year of Healthy Challenges, again, stopped really getting, like July, I didn't even write a challenge in there, and right as the move was starting, I stopped caring. And again, I didn't repeat this spread because I did it a slightly different way because this just was something I wasn't really keeping up with. It was too far away from everything else. And then same with my Don't Be Nasty, everything that's starting to get work on in January, and then we found out we were moving. And I am not prepared to create this for this new house yet because I haven't even gotten used to it yet, and on top of everything else, I'm hoping to get somebody to come clean it once or twice a month so I don't hurt myself. I may reference this in my bullet journal in the future. 2020 YouTube, I didn't even mess with podcast ideas, and I started using, again, I wound up just making notes elsewhere in my bullet journal, which just seems to be something that I tend to be more likely to do. And then we're into January when I started doing this little situation here. I used this as like a brainstorm page with the quote around it, but I think that was the only time I did that. Task list underneath, and then January, habits. This all seemed to be going well. And then here was my sleep tracker. You know, January, the month we actually do our shit. And then Loki. Hi. One of the things you'll notice is that I did swap around weekly layouts to see if I could find one that I really liked, but that also incorporated the rolling task list from the one that Plant-Based Bride does. So some notes. Then there was this, the week of the frickin' January 6th situation. More notes. And I used stickers in this one too. And then this was the week of my birthday. And this was also the week that you notice here a lot didn't get done. This was the day we found out about having to transfer to Denver. And we had to start talking about it. I picked my new nephrologist that week and then found out I'd only have him for a few months, potentially. Violet, you're turning, I love this like pansy violet situation. I love this calendar. This was one of my favorite months, I think, in terms of setup. Sleep tracker, these didn't get used as much as I thought that they would. And I really liked this layout, and I will probably use this layout again sometime soon. Really liked it. And it worked really well with this doodle style. Then we get to March. Lousy smarch weather. This is when the packing the house up began in earnest. March calendar, March decorations. I was actually surprised at how much I liked drawing the daffodils so much. They've been my nemesis for so long. And then this was the month I also was trying to do like an ideal week time batching situation. And I loved this layout as well with the time tracking on top. That's another one I may want to give. I didn't finish checking all these off because I never came back to this spread once I was done, but it was very helpful. The time tracking really did help me kind of keep an eye on things while I was in the middle of beginning to pack. Notes from a course I was taking, and then we get to April. This is the month that we listed our house. See, I didn't come back to this spread either. Again, it's that reminder that like, I think one thing I need to remember for my bullet journal, and this is something I've taught myself before, but I need to remember it again, is that I shouldn't make spreads like this that are going like, this got done in April, but this in May and this in June. I shouldn't make spreads where I'm gonna have to come back to them, like come back to a different month or to a different section. I just never do. My steps tracker, which I really like how that came out, and I really like this layout as well. The biggest thing I ran into was that I wouldn't always have enough room for all these events. This is where I was gonna do my Napa Valley spread, but then I wound up doing it somewhere else. When I did this with my patrons in one half-an-hour session. And then, yeah, see, you can see one of the situations here where like just so many things sort of try and fit in that area. And then we got to May. This is when we went house shopping. I wound up not doing a to-do list, which I missed, but I thought it was kind of out of character. This is a little out of the ordinary for me. Didn't ever wind up using this page at all. May was just an intense month with all the trips. Again, you can see sort of how little I wound up using these spreads. I did this one with my patrons, but I never did the doodling. But this, now while all of these spreads didn't really get used, this layout was like chef's kiss for me, with a massive list and then all of these areas to make my daily lists, and it was perfect. And I loved the way it looked with these vines in the background, pictures of our trip to Denver to house hunt. This layout just was the fucking shit, man. There's some art prompts from a course I'm in, more saying goodbye to California pictures, continued with this epic layout. That was when I started using the I think that was when I started using the zig dot markers, maybe in this bullet journal. And then June, when we closed on the house and had to finish getting it packed, I used this for a while, but then once the packing happened in earnest, I just stopped fucking touching it. And I have a video coming out soon talking about moving favorites where I kind of talk a little bit about this. Didn't do the challenges. And then I did this spread, which I liked, but not as much as I liked the spreads from May. Did this one with stickers from Planning with Kay on Alive. I mean, I do most of my spreads on Alive. And then we have July. And this is where you're gonna see that I basically stopped touching my bullet journal, except for a couple of things. I did some notes here, and then I have this currently going on. Ooh, I did that. Things I want to try and get done before the truck gets here, which is not that much time. But part of the reason I stopped really utilizing this, and I probably will until it actually August starts, the one issue I ran into is the pages are perforated, and so when you kind of turn them on each other, they start to separate. I noticed this when I was doing my bullet journal setup, like they're starting to separate, and it was just bothering me. But I also just didn't find it useful during the hotel time, and now that I'm in the house, I'm still trying to kind of get back to my usual routine, but it's hard to do that when we still don't have our shit yet. So that's basically the end of my bullet journal. We have a handful of pages left that I can still use for to-do lists if I need to. When I did the review and the pen test of the Bear and Fig, I did it on a different notebook, so there isn't any of that in the back. And then we have some more random things. And that is the end of my notebook. So this is a bullet journal. It's basically 6 months with the skosh of 7 months, but my next one will be August through hopefully the end of the year. We'll see how that goes. I really did enjoy this, and it wound up being, I didn't expect it to turn out like this, right? But I didn't expect when the year started that we would be moving. Shit, I spent like hella time on this cleaning spread for a house that we don't live in anymore. So that should tell you something. Hi, Loki. Anyway, Loki is letting me know that it is time for me to go, so I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What is one thing you thought would be really helpful for you when you moved or when you went through a big life transition that wound up not being helpful at all, that you didn't even worry about using? Let me know in the comments, because for me, it was certainly my bullet journal during the actual move. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, peace.